Hello, welcome back to the ministry. God has interesting ways of showing you things. I can be in God's face about something and I will come out and He will use things, people, situations, scenarios, things popping up in front of my face, certain circumstances. I had a weird experience that brought my attention to a memory of something that had happened to me about I'll say this happened back in 2018. And when this happened, there was this young woman that came to me, right? And she befriended me suddenly, out of nowhere. I was like, oh. And she was like, where are you going? What are you doing? I'm here. It's like, where are you going? Are you going? You're going to the library? You're gonna do this? You're gonna do that? You gonna? And I'm like, why do you want to follow me around? He's like, I'll go do what you do. I'll go do that. And this particular day, she followed me. We ended up having a conversation. I was trying to give her some advice about some stuff. Because, I mean, if you're going to be here, I'm going to give you advice. And she was talking about, well, I got this relationship and I'm this, that, and the other. And I'm sitting up here like, I heard what you said. And I gave her the advice from an honest point and posture and position. But something weird happened that day. I was sitting there listening to something in relation to my ministries. I went over to the computer, I sat there, and I was doing what I was doing, but something felt off. And that happened to me recently. I felt something felt off about this weird interaction I had. And in me having this weird interaction, I was like, God, what was that? Because it almost felt like somebody was mirroring me. And either I was being spiritually mocked or I was being given information that reflected exactly what God was trying to tell me, almost as a confirmation. And I'm like, this is weird. And I'm seeking God for wisdom because I knew what type of spiritual space I was in. And sometimes the Lord will allow me to have these interactions when I'm in a certain spiritual space. I'm like, I need clarity on it. But I recognized something else. As soon as that weird experience happened, right afterwards, just like the same thing happened at that time in 2018, I remember I was walking in the library and I was preparing to leave. I walked past a cart, and in that cart was a book on in-style bridal, what have you. And I was like, I don't know whether I got chills in that moment, but I knew God was talking to me about marriage. He was talking to me heavy that day on marriage. And I was like, what in the world? Well, right after this interaction I had that was weird, I pick up my phone and I see this ad 3 times. In it is a woman. And she's got on wedding bands on one of her fingers. All of them, humongous stones with a line at the bottom of stones. These beautiful, large, some square stones, some circular stones, and I'm like, Then the following morning, I wake up from a dream and I see hands held up in reverence to God as the sun is shining. And on the woman's left hand. You ever see that commercial? It's a commercial. And I don't know whether it's for Temu or what it is. But it's the galaxies and you seeing a bunch of candies, but the woman has her hands up in the air. It's just like that, but wasn't nothing going on in the atmosphere. It's just the hands were up, but the hands were up in more reverence like God. And on the woman's left hand was a large size engagement ring. So much so that even in her hands being up, you could see that stone clearly. You seen those engagement rings where the stone is big, but it's not so big that it stands out against the backdrop to the band. No, this sucker was so big it looked like an Easter egg on her finger in this vision. The proposals is coming, okay? I've been seeing 221 like crazy. I've been seeing 223. 221 means you're getting married or a proposal is coming. 232 means you're getting married. I'm gonna let this sit there for a second, okay? Next, Lord showed me something through a weird phone call I got. Another weird encounter, same set of days. Now, when this happened, it was a weird phone number. You ever get those numbers that is like a plus and then 2 digits and then what was it? 2 digits, 3 digits, 3 digit, 4 digit. Weird number like that. And I was gonna be like, God, what the heck is this? I don't get phone calls like that often, if ever. And I'm sitting there like, let me do a little bit of research here. Now, we've been talking about the number 737, right? 737 is a plane number. It means to take off. It means to just now take off. The first number in that sequence was 52 in that weird phone number. I said, okay. Some of your spouses will operate in a level of ignorance to understanding what God was trying to tell them in relation to these marriage promises. Because they didn't understand how God was speaking, because they didn't understand God spoke that way, because they had never been spoken to that way by God. So they were operating a level of ignorance. And some of y'all, that's what's been the delay, because they had that ignorance because they did not understand. And some of them were still just in a level of pride that they would not allow themselves to see. So, yeah. Secondly, what did I just say? In that ad, it was one finger that had a bunch of rings on it. The whole finger, just like you see, I got 2 rings on this finger. It was all rings all the way up the finger. Why did I say that? The next number, I read a post from one of the ministers, my main minister I follow. I mean, like, if I could go to her church, that would be the main one. She posted that she had gotten 1,147 views on something. Specifically, I was like, that's an interesting number. And it was highlighted in red. So I said, let me just go over here and see what this number means. Wouldn't you know that the same day I got that advertisement for the finger with all them rings on it, I see this number, and you know what that number means? It means a finger. Next, the next set of numbers in that phone number was 221. Now, I just said to you, I see 221 all the time. 221 means what? A proposal. Are you seeing where we're going here? And it's funny because the Heart of Ruth released a word within that same day sequence talking about the fact that some of you don't realize that the proposal is coming. And when it happens, it's going to be so sudden, you're going to be like, you're going to be shocked, but it's something that was needed and necessary for you. And the only reason I'm sharing that is because the Lord brought the number 3,313 in front of me. Now, most of the time I see 313 all the time, but I never saw 3,313. I said, what is that? A shared portion. What is a shared portion? An inheritance. And I was walking back home. That's where it was. I saw it on a license plate. I said, excuse me. Now that's interesting. That's how I saw 313. And the Lord brought it back up in my spirit to look it up. I was like, oh, wait a minute. Now, the last two number sets in that phone number that was weird that popped up on my phone was 362. 362 means awaited, to await, awaiting. What have we been doing? We've been in our waiting season. We've been waiting, have we not? Waiting on the promises of God, waiting on the manifestation of what God has for us. The last four numbers in that sequence of that weird phone number that called me was 1547. I said, actually, it wasn't 1547, it was 1597. Let me correct myself. When I saw that, I was like, what's that? So I look it up. God has a good sense of humor because 1597 means a long time, a long awaited, long while. How long have we been waiting on these promises? How long have we been waiting on these marriage proposals? How long have we been waiting? And then the roof turned around and blessed me again. Because I had been sitting in the presence of the Lord praying about something completely different. Literally, immediately after I walked out of my prayer session with God, picked up my phone. I hadn't held this phone in my hand for longer than 30 seconds, the only amount of time to open the YouTube app to go do what I was going to do. And the first word I see is they're going to meet you at the altar. I said, excuse me? Let me make it clear for you. For every confusion, every blockade, every thing that the enemy has tried relentlessly to hold up in your life to bring about confusion and convolution and having temper tantrums, trying to delay, trying to take out stuff, trying to move stuff around and just be a plain daggone nuisance. Because they're having a temper tantrum because they can't stop what God is about to do. Because it's time for it. That irregardless, they can sit up there and do whatever it is that they want to do. They're at a point of desperation. And it's funny, I've been seeing a lot of these words. They're at a point of desperation where they will literally try to take you out through physical contact. Meaning whatever physical contact they can get to you. Remember, I just did the word talking about crossover not too long ago. If the bridge to get you across, God said don't cross it, it's because the enemy was trying to set a trap of premature death. This is how angry that the enemy is that he can't stop these marriages. But what's going to happen is the pit that he done dug for you, they's about to fall in it themselves. I always pray. They say that you're not supposed to send an assignment back to sender, but as according to Isaiah 51:22, the cup that they try to put on you, and 51:23 is going to go back on them. Let me get the exact scripture for you so you can understand it. It literally says, this is what the sovereign Lord, your God and defender, says. See, I have taken the terrible cup from your hands. You will no more drink from my fury. Instead, I will hand that cup to your tormentors and those who said, we will trample you into dust and walk on your backs. Them folks just sitting up there talking about that they was going to take you out in hopes to try to prevent you from getting to these marriages. Remember all of them bridges and all that stuff that they try to do in order to pull out all the stops in order to prevent you from getting where you supposed to be going. You still going to get married. And that's how Heart of Ruth's word blessed me. She said, I don't care what they did, what they said, or what they was gonna do. Oh, you still going to the altar. They could have tried it. And they may have tried it. And they may have tried it over and 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 over. And did I forget to say over? They may have tried it. But guess what? Ain't gonna stop. One monkey ain't gonna stop no show. I think my mama used to say that all the time. One monkey ain't gonna stop no show. It was somebody in my family. I don't know who it was. It don't matter. They gonna have their temper tantrum and then they gonna fall. Because God's gonna make them fall. We don't wish death on nobody. We really don't. But keep getting in front of God's plans. Keep breeding confusion into God's stuff. What did I just say? I saw the sun shining as this woman held her hands up in reference to the Lord, wearing the largest ring I've ever seen in my life. It wasn't exacerbatedly big, but it was pretty darn big. Not quite the size of them juice pop rings that the kids used to eat. Not quite that big. But something like a rich person would have when they have that opulent sized ring. It was big. Diamond, oval shaped. Holding up, God made sure that it was shining bright in the sunlight as the sun rose. You're going to get what belongs to you. No matter what God's got to do. And sometimes He got to drown your enemies in order for that to happen. Or close the door to them. So, I hope this word blessed you. Because that's all I have for y'all. Until next time. Bye-bye.